This podcast was brought to you by Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. They have tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone or computer. It allows you to distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can even make money without having a minimal listenership. It's basically everything you need and all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey, Daisy Kane here, and welcome to another episode of the Awkward Black Nerd Podcast. As you can see, I finally decided to show some balls and decided to record an episode for my YouTube channel. And about the YouTube channel, I promise I'm going to upload the rest of season 2 fairly soon. And I just want to give a special thank you to anyone that's listened to any of my episodes, anybody that's followed me on social media, and anybody that's decided to take the time out to deal with this very modest yet crunchy show. I truly appreciate it. And sorry I haven't been around for a while, but that's going to change because today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things that a couple of people know about and a few people don't. And today is actually pretty special because one, not only am I excited about an event that's coming up, but two, I've been wanting to plan to do this for a very long time. And actually, hopefully this is going to probably be a short episode because I'm just trying to make sure that I get this done before I actually guest star or guest host on another podcast right after this. Shout out to the Blerd Radio podcast. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. I can't wait to have very fun and random conversation with you guys. And just know that I am missing AEW All Out to guest host on your show. So just know that. And speaking of AEW All Out, that's what today's topic is about. I will be discussing my love of wrestling. I know wrestling's not for everyone. People may not consider it a real sport. And true, it is a form of entertainment, but the people that perform are still athletes and they're highly respected, especially since they're out on the road at least like 300 days out of the year, and they sacrifice their bodies just to entertain their fans. So that's why I feel like wrestling technically is a sport. And like I said, some people may beg to differ, and you know, it is what it is. So don't judge me. And I got inspired to do this topic because about a couple of weeks ago, I went to WrestleFest with my husband in Poughkeepsie. It was really cool. Like, we stayed overnight, and then we actually went to, we took our kid to Legoland. So we actually took our kid to WrestleFest, and it was so cool because it was her first wrestling match, and she was so excited. And we did some meet and greet. She got to meet her favorite wrestlers. She met Sammy Guevara. She met Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, and Tay Conti. Those are wrestlers in the AEW, and they were super down to earth, super nice, and you could just tell that they appreciate us fans coming out to see them. And I thought it was really sweet that Tay Conti actually asked my daughter for a hug. So you could just, it was just really heartwarming to see like these athletes and these entertainers just be genuinely nice to their fans. And it was cool because I got to also learn about a couple like new wrestlers, like indie wrestlers, and actually it was cool to learn about Northeast Wrestling, which is, which is actually like the biggest wrestling company here in the Northeast, which is weird because I've never heard of it, but I have since researched it, and I am definitely invested now. And it's cool. We got to learn about some new wrestlers. We got to learn about this guy called Man Scout. My daughter actually bought one of his dolls. We learned about this other wrestler named Lucky, and we learned about this other tag team called Waves and Curls. And it's cool to see just new talent and new wrestlers, and you know, maybe down the road hopefully we'll get to see them at different wrestling companies. So like I said, I thought that was pretty cool. And plus, like, I got some posters, and I want to also give a shout out to Headlocked. We follow each other on Instagram, but I just wanted to give them a shout out because I bought some of their artwork, and I bought like one of their comics, and I'm just like highly impressed. And hopefully we can reach out to each other and maybe do something along the lines, because I am inspired to do like a comic book, and I just love the artwork. And speaking of wrestling, I kind of want to segue into wrestle talk for a minute. So I guess that, like I said, I guess I'm trying to like word it correctly. I guess what I can say why I like wrestling so much is that I grew up watching it. I grew up like watching, like, you know, everybody knows about Hulk Hogan and Undertaker and Ultimate Warrior and Randy Macho, you know, Macho Randy Savage and things like that. Although as an adult, it is a little daunting that some of the people I grew up watching are, you know, kind of POSs in real life. But, you know, as a kid, you don't think about stuff like that. And, you know, especially Hulk Hogan, that's the one that kind of really broke my heart because I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. But I digress. And, you know, it kind of goes into the saying, never meet your heroes, I guess. And it's cool because me getting into wrestling, like, I know my cousins were into it. I remember my grandma, Janeri, she was into The Rock, things like that. And I just remember bonding with some friends, like, at school over wrestling, like, especially when I moved to, like, a new middle school. Like, I remember making friends with, like, a couple of girls because I remember, I remember meeting a classmate that had on like a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt, and then like we bonded from there, and then like we ended up being friends like throughout adulthood and stuff. I mean, granted, we lost touch a little bit, but it is what it is. But it was cool just to and I remember like it was a huge deal when Owen Hart had his accident. I think I was in high school when that happened, and I remember it was a huge deal because I remember like the day after it happened, that's all like we could talk about in the cafeteria. So, and plus like, so I guess like I said, wrestling's kind of always been a staple in my life. Like, hell, it's been a staple in my life as an adult. Like, especially like when I first like in college and things like that. I remember like me and my friend Jamie, like she was going to Norfolk State, and like we used to go to Hooters like for the wrestling pay-per-views, and we used to always just like order like a pitcher of beer, and we used to get wings and shrimp, and we used to just sit and watch the pay-per-views, and that was kind of a way for us to like meet guys and things like that. So it's like, so it's kind of funny how like wrestling kind of intertwined with my personal life too. But I just remember having so many great stories of us at Hooters drinking beer and just talking with random guys and just having the best time ever. It's a little sad that like a lot of places don't show wrestling shows anymore. I mean, I guess like UFC is a lot more popular, but it was kind of daunting because I remember like just recently me and my husband were trying to figure out a way to watch AEW All Out before we ended up downloading the Fight app. But we were like, maybe we'll just go to a bar and watch it, and it sucks because none of the sports bar here play it, but it is what it is. And it's kind of cool that this is another weird segue. It's kind of cool that wrestling kind of like is something that me and my husband can bond over too. It's like one of the many things we have in common, so I thought that was cool. And it's like one of the things that we even do now, like we still watch like AEW like during the week, and I think it's cool how we got our daughter into wrestling and things like that. And you know, I like that it's like always going to be a huge part of my life, and I would love to like pass that down to my daughter as well. But with that though, I'm not gonna say that like I don't have some issues with wrestling, because I mean, anybody that's a fan knows there are definitely some current issues out there, especially with WWE. Like, I'm not trying to trash WWE, but we can all see that it's kind of a mess right now. I mean, especially with like all the recent firings, like it's like, I feel like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know whether it's like the creative teams or just like they just need to hire new people and get all on the same page. But it's just kind of sad because it's like the company is like all over the place. I mean, for example, like it's kind of strange that they don't know what to do with tag teams as of now, but like in the past, like they've had amazing tag teams. But it's been kind of weird that I've noticed a pattern where once they sign great tag teams, and once the tag teams get momentum, for some stupid reason, I don't know whose idea it is, they're like, all right, let's split them up and see what they can do on their own. And then just things fall apart from there. I mean, if you look at it now, they barely have they have tag team titles, right? But they barely have any tag teams to like compete for them. So I feel like, one, that's another reason why they're a mess. Two, like the recent firings, like I understand, I guess the big theory is they did it for budget cuts. I don't know why, but I just feel like some of the firings I just can't wrap my head around. I mean, the Iconics was one. Thankfully, they're coming back as the inspiration, but I think they're still trying to figure out things like that. I would love for them to come to AEW, to help that women's division, and I'll get into that later. But most likely, they'll probably go to Impact, or who knows? 'Cause I know they have like, I guess, like, other issues they have going on with, like, their no compete clauses and things like that, but they have renamed themselves as the Inspiration, and I can't wait to see them come back out because they were one of my favorite women tag teams. And also, you know, the whole thing with Bray Wyatt, like, that kind of annoyed me the most because I don't get why, especially since he is, like, you know, his merch is still selling. Granted, he hasn't been on camera for a while or on TV for a while, but I just don't understand why they let him go, especially. And what annoys me kind of more is that I like how he teamed up with Alexa Bliss, but it doesn't make sense now that she's still, I guess, like, going on with, I guess, that particular storyline that he started, by the way, because now it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like, in a way, it's not, I don't want to say disrespectful, but I feel like it's just, it doesn't make sense now. And that's, the whole situation doesn't make sense to me, but I would love to see what happens to him soon. Because it is kind of sad because that whole, like, the whole Wyatt family is pretty much, at this point, just done. I mean, we have what happened with Brody Lee, may he rest in peace. Eric Redbeard, you know, I know he's still wrestling, I think. And then, you know, with the whole Braun Strowman thing, I don't know where he is now, but hopefully, you know, they find him. I know he's not going to AEW, but hopefully they find something for him too. But it's just, it just kind of bums me out because that was one of my favorite factions. Well, one of my favorite current factions. But hopefully wherever Bray Wyatt does end up, it'll just be good. And hopefully, you know, I just know, like, either way, I think a part of him was just probably, like, ready to go anyway. But it just still was kind of a shock. So, and maybe it's like I'm more like I can't wrap my head around it because of, like, recent hirings of different people, like IE, for example, Eva Marie. And I'm not going to go on a rant about it because, and don't come for me, wrestling fans, but I was actually a fan of hers. Sorry, hold on. I was actually a fan of hers when she first started out. Like, I was willing to give her a chance because I did watch her on Total Divas. And, you know, I feel like in the beginning, she was just willing to, like, you know, just try to find her way in WWE. I mean, granted, I feel like they should have put her in NXT and put her in training before they thrust her on camera, where she made many mistakes. But I feel like once she did go to NXT, she did all right. I feel like she could have stayed a little bit. And then once she, like, left or was let go the first time, you know, she made a great name for herself. Like, she's, you know, this huge fitness guru. She has her own clothing line, you know, and things like that. And I was willing to give her a chance when she returned to WWE because I was like, okay, you know, I've seen her, like, kind of wrestle in NXT. She wasn't great, but she was, you know, she was sort of learning. And I thought maybe, okay, maybe she'll, you know, show that she improved once they put her back on the main roster. But I don't know what the fuck's going on now. Like, I don't understand the whole Doudrop thing, especially since Doudrop is, she's like a wrestler from NXT UK. She was amazing. And I feel like what they're doing with that particular wrestler is highly disrespectful and just, like, wasting that good girl's talent. And I just don't, I feel like with the whole, what they're doing with Eva Marie now, they're taking a step back as to what they're doing with their women's superstars. Because I remember when they threw away the whole title of divas, they were supposed to throw away characters like that. You know, not just eye candy. You know, I don't get the whole storyline. It's very dated. It doesn't make sense. And in a way, it's kind of one of the many issues I have with Raw right now, because it's kind of made it into, like, a kid's TV show. It's not as great as it used to be, and it's actually kind of, like, depressing to watch lately. And like I said before, plus this whole storyline with Alexa Bliss, like, I feel like that kind of just needs to be nixed, and I kind of wish she'd just go back to the character she was before, because she was an amazing heel before she went into this whole, you know, thing, you know, taking over the whole Bray Wyatt persona thing. Like, she was a great heel to begin with, so I kind of wish she'd go back to that, or, like, if she stays into this character she is now, just do something different with it. I don't know, I feel like she's just in need of, like, a different change, but who knows. And I don't know, like I said, it's just the main issue I have with WWE is that they're burying, like, their great talent, which has always been kind of an issue. It's like the whole thing with, like, I don't know, I'm not saying that they're not willing to take chances, because they were willing to take chances with the whole Nikki Cross thing, and I guess what is it now, the Nikki ASH, like, almost a superhero. Was it a great idea? I don't think so, but it was, I mean, you can kind of say they were willing to give it a chance, but I feel like Sorry, I have something in my throat. But I feel like, again, it's kind of dated, and they kind of just need to, like, just try something different. I don't know. Hopefully, like, creative gets their shit together, but who knows? And that's kind of, like, one of the issues I have. Like, I feel like they were in the right direction with, like, their women's division, where they stopped calling them divas, start calling them superstars, and they had amazing talent on their roster. They still do, but I feel like their women's division is taking steps back instead of moving forward, and hopefully that'll change. I mean, Becky Lynch has come back, although I don't like how they did her return, because it was kind of BS what they did to Bianca Belair, who I think is one of the best women on their roster right now. Plus there's the whole thing with, like, the Nia Jax problem, which I won't get into. Anybody that is a fan of wrestling knows what I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna say the obvious thing that they need to do with her, but they need to fix that problem quick before somebody does get hurt. You know, last thing we need is, like, somebody getting permanently, like, injured because of something that could have been easily fixed. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, and I do like that they did bring there's certain things that I do like about it. Like, I do like that they have brought back, like, you know, certain superstars, like Edge has come back, and, like, it was cool when Daniel Bryan came back, although rumor has it that he is over at, he is at AEW now. Hopefully he comes back tonight, but we'll see. And I like that those two particular guys coming back after serious neck injuries gives me hope that my favorite wrestler, Paige, will come back. Because she was my favorite, and she kind of had, like, the same injury, and I feel like if those two guys can come back from, like, serious career-ending injuries, then maybe she'll come back too. Because when she did return, I feel like her return was, like, short, so short, and it just was heartbreaking when she had to retire. But I hopefully she comes back. And you know, I feel like I'm not saying, like, I'm totally giving up on WWE, but it's just, like, a lot of things need to change with them. And that's kind of why as of right now, I kind of prefer AEW over WWE. I'm not trying to say one is better than the other, because I feel like AEW, although they have taken a lot of WWE's talent, I feel like they're not trying to compete with WWE. They're just trying to give, you know, wrestlers who love the business a fair chance. Because, you know, I feel like, especially with people, like, I've heard, like, stories of people signing up for WWE, get to the main roster, and then I feel like everything they worked hard for was just, like, all for nothing. And I feel like with AEW, they're just willing to, you know, they're more willing to give people chances, and just more, like, willing to, you know, give, like, people creative freedom and stuff like that. And plus, like, I kind of prefer AEW because, like, the promos, I think, are a lot better. Some of them are kind of corny, but that's just wrestling promos in general. But I think the promos are a lot better. I do, like, you can definitely see how they treat their talent, like, a lot better. Like, you can tell, like, especially with, like, a lot of the, I guess, the ideas that wrestlers come out with, I guess they're willing to listen to more wrestling ideas. Or I think the creative team at that company is a lot more open-minded. You can definitely tell there's a more diverse roster. I mean, they have, like, for example, you know, I mean, it's a very more diverse roster, I guess. Sorry, I, like, lost my train of thought. And, like, you can kind of tell that they're more in tune with their fan base. Like they kind of definitely know what wrestling fans want, what they don't want, and things like that. And, I mean, and especially now, like, you can definitely tell they're more in tune with, like, this generation. Like, a lot of them have, like, vlogs, and, like, they have, like, you know, podcasts, and, like, you know, things like that. I mean, me and my husband, like, we watch BTE all the time, and Sammy Guevara's blog and stuff. And, you know, like I said, hopefully, like, and plus, I feel like definitely, if we are going to compare the two, especially with CM Punk returning, and I still can't wait to see him fight Darby Allin, by the way. And, like, with Daniel Bryan, like, signing, I feel like it's definitely gonna, like, push AEW in, like, that direction to kind of maybe topple WWE. But like I said, they've said time and time again they're not trying to compete with them, even though, like, and I know WWE has said, oh, we don't look at them as a threat, but they kind of should. And it's not like I'm saying, and like I said, I'm not saying that AEW is better than WWE, because there's some things that are kind of, like, not great about it. Like, their commentary is, you know, and commentary is not that great. Like, I can't stand listening to Taz And like, I mean, they did put Big Show up there. I'm sorry, Paul White. He's up there now, and I love that Chris Jericho's up there now. And I kind of hope he wins this match at All Out. Although if he doesn't, he'll make an amazing commentator. Although I don't want to see him lose to MJF like this. Although he's already lost to him 3 times, but you know, I don't want his career to end. And I guess like only other complaint that I really have is like some of their storylines kind of drag on a little long. Although that's kind of just wrestling in general. That's like, you know, one of the things I've always kind of hasn't liked about it. It's like storylines kind of go on and on and on. Like, for example, like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are heels and stuff. And like, you know, I get it. Shows need heels and shows need like, you know, baby faces and things like that. But I feel like just like this has gone on way too long. And especially, maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of Kenny Omega. Again, don't come for me. And then some of the other storylines were hard to follow. Like, for example, I remember the whole, like, Nyla Rose. I mean, it was more behind, like, it was more on the BT thing where it was, like, Nyla Rose and, like, Vicky Guerrera and, God, I can't remember the other guy's name. They were, like, in, like, Catholic uniforms and things like that. So I never got that whole storyline. It's kind of hard to follow. And I feel like sometimes there's, like, too many, like, problematic jokes going around, like, especially like homophobic jokes, especially like on BTE and things like that. And like, I will say the thing that WWE has that's a little bit better than AEW is that AEW's women's roster can definitely use some improvement. I mean, they have amazing athletes and stuff, but I feel like they don't have like a consistent number of women that can really like run that division. Like, you know, at least with WWE, you have like, you can point out, oh, these are the top athletes, these are the ones that are still great athletes in their mid card and things like that. But I feel like a lot of the women on their roster is mid card, and maybe they don't have like enough. It's kind of hard to like, you know, pull apart like who's the great ones and who's not, because I feel like they're all like kind of on the same level, which I don't know if that makes their women's division uninteresting or not, but I mean, I'm still like invested and supportive and things like that. And I feel like the only thing that I wish they would cut back on as well is like they have too many extreme matches. Like, I love the fact that they're willing to do it because they're willing to like, you know, show that, hey, we're a lot more hardcore than WWE, who's more PG. But I feel like they've done like way too many of them, and I feel like, okay, I get it, like you're doing extreme matches, but I've seen like way too many, especially like as of now. And I feel like it's cool that they've done it. Like, I love the fact that they've done it with like 2 of their women wrestlers. Like, they did it with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, by the way. But I feel like they just done too many, and I feel like they need to cut back on that before somebody seriously gets hurt. But that's just me. And but for the most part, like I said, I'm invested. Like, I can't wait to watch. Let me see what time it is. Ooh, I probably have to wrap this up. I can't wait to watch All Out. Hopefully CM Punk wins. And I'm going to try to upload some of my stuff from Wrestle Talk. Not Wrestle Talk, from WrestleFest. And hopefully, like, you guys, you know, stay patient with me. New episodes are coming. And I promise I'm going to try to be more consistent with my episodes, especially since I want to start doing more reviews and I do want to have guests on. And on that note, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. Be kind to each other because kindness is gangster. And bye.